over the parent. And we find that, subhanAllah, you find that even recently, you read these articles, some of the names that are given to children, and some of them taking their parents to court because of the names which they've given them, giving them a really awful start in their life, open to ridicule and mockery and so on. So Islam puts a stop to that. And also the right of the child is that the parent provides from shelter, food, adequate clothing, a decent upbringing, and these are the rights. And equal treatment in terms of giving gifts. There was an incident when this mother, she asked the Prophet to bear witness, or to testify, or to make an oath on what was going on in terms of the husband giving one present to one child but didn't give it to another. The Prophet says, I will never bear an oath over this, or I will never justify this. This is injustice. What you give to one, you should give to the other, because it can lead to a sense of jealousy between children.
Definitely.
And that can cause a lot of disruption within the family household. Again, going back to the family unit, making it sacred and eliminating anything that could cause disruption to it. This is very, very important. And we know even rights of the relatives, Abu Khalid. A lot of us, we find that, and we, especially in this part of the world, we're very far from our home countries, and sometimes it can go on for weeks, sometimes, you know, months that we don't contact our relatives. And really, we're, I think, for the most part, a lot of us, we're a bit negligent on that, and we shouldn't be. وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ الَّذِي تَسَاءَلُونَ بِهِ وَالْأَرْحَامِ. Allah says that fear Allah in that which your wombs have asked of. In other words, what your close of kin,
like
those
the rights of the womb.
The rights of the womb, in other words. And those are the immediate family, and we should keep in touch. And even if they are not, I don't know, if they're not, if you don't get any nice feedback from them or not, they're not willing to keep up that, but you should keep trying. Scholars say you should keep trying, because eventually, because each and everyone, there is goodness in people, Abu Khalid. We should always remember that. And that even if there is difficulty there, and there's a lot of harshness and a lot of hostility, idfa billati hiya ahsan, return that which is about what is good. Eventually the good will have to come out. Somebody is constantly good to you all the time, even if you don't like him, it has to eventually work. This is the idea, and Islam encourages this. We find that we should not cut off our contact with them, and we should, especially now, we've no excuse with internet and mobile phones and everything. It's very easy to contact our relatives and close of kin. The issue you were talking about at the very start was about Surah Al-Quraysh, was about the ruler and the rights of the ruler. Of course, Allah Azza wa Jal says, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu ati'u Allah wa ati'u ar-rasul wa ulil amri minkum. Worship Allah and the Messenger and those people who have a power over you. Obey them. And it's so wonderful, this concept, is because at the end of the day we all have to work together, and we have to show solidarity in the society, and society becomes strong when the ruler is helping the public in order to be closer to Allah Azza wa Jal. And the rights of the people over the ruler is that they allow this to happen. In other words, they provide adequate, for example, safety and food and so on, so that people, for example, will not be in a situation where they have to flee or they have to go to another country. And even there's another point I want to make, was the issue of plague. In other words, the rights of the people in the country. And if there's a plague in a country,
you mean like bubonic plague?
Like, for example, a plague that might have like a famine or something like that. That the people should stay in that country, and they should not leave, and the people outside should not come in. And someone will say, well, what's the point of that? If you're in a famine, shouldn't you leave? Shouldn't you protect your family? No, because what can happen is, in a plague situation, is that can spread. So not only the right of the people who are outside, it's protecting everybody else outside. And it's lack of trust on Allah Azza wa Jal. If you stay there, you make dua to Allah Azza wa Jal, He's the one who removes these plagues. So having trust in Allah Azza wa Jal, and the rights of the neighbouring countries are not affected, why should you go and affect them? Issues like, for example, consultation, and the rulers should consultate the people and they should ask their opinions, and this is the idea of shura in Islam.
But not every road sweeper,
of course not,
shopkeeper.
No, of course not. But things like they should involve the public in some way. We know the Prophet ﷺ, he was sent by Allah Azza wa Jal, but he would consult his the companions on issues.
Yes, he did.
And things which were about the dunya and the worldly issues. For example, we know he was decided to put to station the camp. They were waging a war, and he wasn't quite sure, but he decided to put it in one place. One of the Sahaba came to him and said, "Oh Prophet, is this instruction from Allah?" He said, "No." Okay, so is there room for us to move it somewhere else strategically better? He says, "Yes." He said, "Oh Prophet, this would be an idea, be close to the water, it will help our resources and so on. This is better." Prophet agreed, and he went with that. So, even though he's a prophet of God, he still took in the advice from other people. And ad-din nasiha, ad-din nasiha, that the religion is an advice, and an advice to the rulers. And the rights become blurred when either party or either side doesn't give what they're supposed to give. And we find that even the story of Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu, when he was the Khalifa, he feared that a mule on the street, if it fell, that Allah Azza wa Jal would punish him for not allowing the pavements to be
hold him responsible
for that small little thing. And he's in Iraq, and he's thinking,
that's amazing, huh?
So therefore that leads us nicely onto the preservation or the rights of the animals. Abu Khalid, I know you're a bit of an animal lover yourself, and you can't, of course, some more so than others, but you can't help appreciate some of the beautiful rights that Allah Azza wa Jal, and from the Prophet ﷺ, the rights of for the animals. For example, we know the issue of even when you're slaughtering, to make sure that the knife is as sharp in there, in order to reduce the amount of pain that is going to be inflicted by the...
And you know, with something that's very sharp, you don't feel pain. You know, people cut themselves shaving things. But also that one animal shouldn't see another being slaughtered.
Exactly. As if it's like it's killing it twice, isn't it? And we find some
it's terrified,
And as well as that, we find that even story of the Sahaba, we know one of the Sahabi, he's seen that people were using birds as targets, and he forbid them from doing so. What are you doing? This is not, you don't use birds as targets in your shooting. We find that even issues like the Prophet ﷺ was with his companions, and he went to relieve himself from quite a far distance, and he came back and he seen that there was a bird that the chicklets was screaming, the mother was screaming quite, abnormally. And he found that the companions had taken some of the chicklets of the baby.
Desert doves, there's little desert doves.
More knowledgeable than this one than me. So they had taken them. Prophet ordered to put them back there. And even there was an issue where there was a colony of ants, and the Prophet ﷺ seen that they were burned, and he forbids, says, do not burn animals, and certainly burning of ants. And burning is only for Allah Azza wa Jal. The fire punished, the only people who are punished, Allah punishes by fire, nobody else. So we find that in Islam, that the rights not only for, like we said, the human beings, the neighbours, the children, the relatives and so on, but also for animals. And also then we have the rights of the actual street, which goes back to the story of Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu, that the street has its right.
The street? The
street itself.
You mean the behaviour of the people?
And the behaviour of the people. For example, when you're on the street, walking on the street, you should give salams to the people. And if you're standing, you should give it to the one who is sitting. And if you're on your own, then you should give it to the group. We know that, for example, taking harm off the street, if there's something like an obstacle or something,
broken bottle,
or something which could cause harm, this is the right. You should remove these things.
There's a reward for that, isn't there?
Of course, we know that in certain hadiths that it's referred to as being a part of Iman, actually, the lowest level of Iman, removing something from the street that could cause harm. Also things like, for example, that the shade, the trees and the plants, Abu Khalid, they also have rights as well. That, for example, you shouldn't cut trees, you shouldn't urinate in shades, areas of shade